basketball has really consumed my life for a year. So I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened. Like, I feel like I didn't even have time to really reflect on my college career because it ended so fast. I feel like taking some time to myself and really enjoying that and reflecting back.
There's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place.
Caitlin Clark has revealed she is taking a break from basketball until April. Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas spoke out about the slurs she received from Caitlin Clark fans. Ryan Aruo, Caitlin will not play off-season basketball 200-plus days until we see Caitlin Clark play basketball again.
Allow me to publicly thank the Indiana Fever for putting up such a great fight tonight and for battling back again and again and again all season long. Let me thank Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and all the rest for refusing to say die, refusing to lose, fighting back again and again and again, and playing at a much higher level than they should be at this stage and age. Was I ever entered?
Caitlin Clark also got tackled to ground in her last game, no surprise there. And of course, no foul was given. Can someone explain to me how that wasn't a foul? Ooh, wait. I already know it's because it was on Caitlin Clark a lot.
Things that this group accomplished that, a lot of people probably didn't think was possible, one, to start the season, and two, after the start we had to the season. So, yeah, it'll definitely be probably a little weird for me over the course of the first couple of weeks, and then I'm sure I'll get bored and pick up a basketball again. So
Alyssa Thomas was not happy after the game, even thought she was a part of her team's success. She was unhappy with the way fans treat her throughout the game, specifically calling out Fever fans. Yet, when she got tackled by Angel Reese a while ago, she had nothing to say. But when it's Caitlin, it's a different story.
We don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world and what we have to deal with in that aspect. And, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking it. There's no time.
It anymore is Caitlin Clark's decision to rest after a breakout WNBA season, a turning point in her career. And what does it mean for the future of women's basketball as Caitlin Clark steps off the court for the next 200-plus days? Fans and analysts alike are left wondering how her absence will affect not only the Indiana Fever, but also the WNBA as a whole. Caitlin's decision to prioritize rest over playing overseas or 3v3 basketball signals a shift in her approach to her career. But what does this mean for the WNBA's future viewership and the overall impact on women's sports? Caitlin has given herself a well-deserved break, a move that surprised some, but is entirely understandable given her heavy workload this season. Caitlin Clark literally played close to an entire NBA season. Caitlin Clark played in 81 games over the span of 324 days and was on the floor for 2,850 minutes.
Clark now has 761 points, breaking the record once held by Simone Augustus. However, there is a caveat. Augustus set the mark back in 2006 when the WNBA regular season was just 34 games. Clark broke the record in 39.
Let's start by talking about Caitlin's last game. It wasn't just any regular season matchup. This was a playoff game, a moment where everything was on the line, and the pressure was at its highest, facing off against a strong Connecticut Sun team. The odds were stacked against the Fever. However, Caitlin showed up in typical fashion, delivering a performance that proved why she's become such a talk-about player. In that game, Caitlin put up an impressive 25 points and dished out 9 assists, but 4. Those who watched closely, it was clear that she could have had even more assist time and time again. She set up her teammates with perfect passes, only to watch as they missed easy layups. This wasn't just a case of bad luck. Caitlin's playmaking ability was on full display. She was creating opportunities, finding her teammates in the right spots, and making the game easier for everyone around her. Unfortunately, the shots just weren't falling how.
Caitlin put up an impressive 25 points and dished out 9 assists.
And the pressure in that game wasn't just on Caitlin's shoulders. The Fever, a team that had struggled throughout parts of the season, was up against a well-rounded and playoff-experienced Connecticut Sun squad. However, Caitlin wasn't one to back down from a challenge in the opening tip. She attacked the basket, took her shots with confidence, and made sure that she gave her team the best chance to win.
How I would grade myself, I'm a tough grader. I feel like I had a solid year, but for me, the fun part is I feel like I'm just scratching the surface, and I'm one that's nitpicking every single thing I do. And I know I want to, help this franchise get even better, help my teammates get even better, be better for my teammates. And I know there's a lot of room for me to continue to improve. So that's what excites me the most. I feel like I can continue to get a lot better. And before we know it, I'm sure we'll all be back here. And
Caitlin's last game might have ended in disappointment, but her season as a whole was nothing short of phenomenal. This was a year that Caitlin Clark solidified her place as one of the most exciting and talented players in the WNBA. From her scoring prowess to her ability to create for others, Caitlin was the heart and soul of the Indiana Fever. It's important to understand just how impressive of Caitlin's season was, especially considering the high level of competition in the WNBA every team in. The league knew that Caitlin was a player to stop defenses were designed to slow her down, and opposing coaches constantly made adjustments to limit her impact. Yet Caitlin consistently found ways to perform at an elite level night in and night out.
Got a lot of players, a lot of these wonderful ladies who bust their tail to make the WNBA what it was. Here's the reality. It wasn't what it is. The quality of basketball may have been up to snuff, and you had somebody as popular as Cheryl Swoops, who had her own signature shoe, had to deal with Nike and all of this other stuff. But the bottom line is, very few people gave it.
Caitlin's ability to score from deep range is perhaps one of her most notable attributes. She has an uncanny ability to hit three-pointers from well beyond the arc, and she does so with incredible efficiency. This forces defenders to play her tight, opening up driving lanes that she can exploit with her speed and ball handling skills. But Caitlin isn't just a scorer. She's also one of the best playmakers in the league regularly, dishing out assists and getting her teammates involved in the offense. In fact, Caitlin's playmaking is one of the reasons she stands out from other top scorers. While many players focus solely on putting points on the board, Caitlin has a unique ability to see the floor and make the right pass at the right time. Her 9 assists in her final game were a perfect example of this. And as mentioned earlier, she could have had even more had her teammates converted more of their opportunities. But beyond the numbers, what really set Caitlin apart this season was her leadership. As a young player, Caitlin took on a significant role for the Fever. She became the player that her teammates looked to in crucial moments, whether it was hitting a big shot in the closing minutes or making a key defensive play. Caitlin was always there when her team needed her the most. This leadership, combined with her on-court talent, made her one of the most important players in the WNBA this year.
It was a lot of fun watching Caitlin Clark's rookie season, which is now over. The Indiana Fever knocked out of the postseason by the Connecticut Sun in a 2-game sweep. And so we got to see the carryover from Iowa transition to the pro game, her ability to help develop a team's cohesion and chemistry. And we saw that work so well as the season went on. Clearly brought like a magnet phenomenal attention to the league, bringing new fans, a committed fan base, not just in her home arena, but bringing fans to away arenas and packing the houses and increasing different venues from smaller to larger because of their presence. It's been...
After such an intense and demanding season, it's no surprise that Caitlin has decided to take some time off. Many WNBA players choose to play overseas during the offseason, not only to stay in shape, but also to earn additional income. However, Caitlin has made a decision to skip overseas play and rest. Instead, for her, the choice was clear. She needed a break. It's worth noting that the WNBA season can be incredibly grueling, especially for players who take on as much responsibility as Caitlin does. Playing overseas might be tempting, but it also means continuing the same intense schedule with very little time for recovery For Caitlin, the physical and mental toll of the season was enough to make her realize that rest was the best option.
I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her. And I respect that respectfully, but sometimes it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on.
In addition to skipping overseas play, Caitlin also decided not to participate in 3v3 basketball, a form of the game that has been growing in popularity. The fast-paced nature of 3v3 requires players to be sharp both offensively and defensively. And while it might have been a fun way to stay in shape, Caitlin knew that her body needed more than just a break from full-court basketball. She needed a complete rest, one that would allow her to fully recover and come back stronger next season. Caitlin's decision to rest is a mature one, especially for someone so young. Many players feel the pressure to keep playing, whether it's to stay in top physical shape or to maintain their place in the league. But Caitlin understands that taking care of her body now will pay dividends in the future by resting. She's giving herself the opportunity to heal both physically and mentally and ensure that she's ready to perform at her best when the next WNBA season begins.
Will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Okay. Throughout the season, one of the recurring frustrations for Caitlin Clark was the lack of calls she received from the referees, whether it was driving to the basket and absorbing contact or getting bumped on the perimeter. Caitlin consistently found herself on the wrong end of no calls. This was particularly frustrating because as one of the league's top players, Caitlin expected to be treated with the same level of respect as her peers' eyes.
Fourth in betting odds on being MVP at the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad.
In her final game against the Connecticut Sun, this issue came up once again. Caitlin drove to basket multiple times, only to be met with hard fouls and no whistles from the referees. It was a pattern that followed her throughout the season, and it's something that has not gone unnoticed by fans, coaches, and analysts alike. The lack of calls is especially perplexing given Caitlin's status as one of the league's rising stars in the NBA. And WNBA star players often get the benefit of the doubt. When it comes to officiating, players like LeBron James or A.A. Wilson are used to getting favorable calls, especially when they attack the basket with aggression. Yet for Caitlin, the whistles seem to stay silent, even in situations where the contact was obvious. This discrepancy in officiating is something that has raised questions about consistency in the WNBA, in addition to the challenges Caitlin faced on the court. She also had to deal with a difficult situation off the court during her final game. A fan in the stands began heckling Caitlin, throwing shade her way and trying to get under her skin. For most of the game, Caitlin remained focused, ignoring the fans' comments and keeping her attention on the game. But as the taunts continued, Caitlin finally had enough. In a moment reminiscent of NBA superstar LeBron James, Caitlin pointed out the fan to the arena staff, who promptly removed the individual from the stadium. It was a rare moment of visible frustration from Caitlin, who is known for her poise and composure under pressure. But this incident showed that even the best players have their limits. With Caitlin Clark now out of the playoffs, the landscape of the WNBA postseason has changed. One player who might be feeling a sense of relief is Angel Reese, a fellow star and competitor who has been closely linked with Caitlin throughout the season. The two players have had a competitive rivalry, and with Caitlin now on the sidelines, Angel knows that one of her biggest obstacles to championship run has been removed. While Angel has never publicly expressed any joy at Caitlin's exit from the playoffs, it's clear that Caitlin's absence changes the dynamics of the postseason. Without Caitlin, the Indiana Fever are no longer a threat, and Angel's path to a potential championship becomes a bit clearer. The focus now shifts to other players, with A.I.A. Wilson emerging as the last big star left standing in the playoffs. Caitlin Clark's exit from the playoffs doesn't just affect the Indiana Fever or the playoff race. It has a much broader impact on the WNBA as a whole. Caitlin's breakout season brought a level of excitement and attention to the league that few players have ever achieved.
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball. So I don't know. It reminded me of the technical that I got in college where I said, damn it, where it's like a personal frustration. Had nothing to do with my team, had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor and I felt like I should have been making more shots. So, but I think he fired me up to continue to play a lot harder. I thought we got a lot better after he did that. So I want to thank him.